I want to get to those ratings. I don't know if that's right.
This is against who?
Transylvanians.
Against trans people?
Transylvanians. Like trans people from Pennsylvania.
Hello, hi, welcome to Quick Reviews. Here we review media good, bad, and ugly. I'm your host, Bruce, and beside me is my co-host, Justin again.
Here at Queer Reviews, we review your favorites and not so favorites of queer media, comics, games, and much more.
Here today, we're reviewing CASTLEVANIA, the Netflix show. So
I recommended this a very long time ago.
CASTLEVANIA. Now, I remember Netflix's CASTLEVANIA. I remember when it came out the first time, it was only like 3 episodes, I remember. And I was shocked at first. I didn't even check when I watched it. And I wanted more. After only 3 episodes, I think it was them like putting their toes in the water. But then that's when they added, that's what I thought it was, right? I think it was the animation studio that went crazy for it.
Yeah,
but
they did. They went extra ham.
They did. And then we got the new season, then had like a lot more episodes, I think about 10 or so. And it just got fucking dope. The humor is amazing, by the way.
Yeah, there's like a dryness to it, but it works. And it follows, because I'm not as much of a gamer as you, but I
don't play CASTLEVANIA either.
You haven't played any of it?
No.
Dang, that's crazy.
All I know from Smash.
Fair enough. I've seen some things, some of the lore. I've watched a couple of, videos about certain things, but it's really cool to see, again, like another culture take on something like European, and kind of make it their own thing. Mm-hmm. And I think the characters, like all of the Belmonts, but even beyond Belmonts, just like the playable characters and stuff are really interesting in the games themselves. And then they really bring that into the show. None of the characters feel two-dimensional. They all feel like, people.
And I love like the trio they made. So obviously we got Trevor Belmont.
Yep.
And we got Cypher and Alucard.
Yeah.
Who, like I said, in the first season, which kind of feels like more like a prologue because it's like 3 episodes. Mm-hmm. Alucard was like at first an enemy, but then he's like they all have the same objective, is to take down Dracula.
Yeah.
And thus begins like this iconic trio that everybody knows him for. The reason why we also have him in Creep PR is that Alucard is also bi as well. But there's a certain scene where he runs into like 2 other, like a male and female traveler, and then they have this whole little scene there.
There's more than just that. There's also
Striga and Morana.
Yeah, there's
those vampires.
Yeah, they're hardcore.
Striga is hardcore. There's also another like duo that makes it in a way. Yeah, there's another little duo that is a queer representation. They're like devout each other. They love each other very much. Striga's obviously the top.
Listen, I'm not gonna get into semantics about that. What I will say,
she has a fucking berserk armor.
I will,
and the sword berserk.
I will say that is incredible.
That was
an excellent
that scene. Actually, listen, that a lot of people say that scene was just the studio saying like, we can animate berserk if you ask us to. Which you know what, I won't object to it. I think
they earned it. They earned it.
They could adapt berserk if they wanted to.
Yeah, especially with the monster designs. There's so many monster designs in the game that were translated beautifully into the show, and that's I guess I'll say a content warning. There's a lot of gore in this show.
Oh no, like you see like kids dying and shit. Yeah, like it gets
people intense. Getting insanguinated, lit on fire, all sorts of medieval stuff. You know what it is. You know what you're getting into.
But also in a way, with Dracula, the way he's written as a character, his motives actually make more sense. Like in the game, he's like a pure villain, but in this one, it makes sense why he's a villain.
Yeah.
Because of what they didn't. It's not much of a spoiler. We just say what happened.
I mean, if you've played CASTLEVANIA, you might.
Or at least you've seen the first episode of this show.
You have to assume that the vampires are probably not going to be the good guys, but you know.
Except for Alucard.
Yeah. Well, he's
half human, half vampire.
So minor spoilers there.
In the first legit first episode of Castlevania, Dracula's wife gets burned to the stake because she gets called a witch for having scientific shit. The real villain actually kind of bit is religion.
It's religion, and it's also like humanity, like the way that people react to things they don't understand, which is like I feel like that's a pretty solid trope.
They had that blood. Was it like a blood? I forgot what the spinny thing is called.
Yeah,
it was like scientific tools and like witchcraft, or like she can read or some shit like that, right?
Whoa.
A woman reading. So, yeah, and so they burned her at the stake for a witch, and then Dracula does like this dope ass like.
And it's crazy too, because I remember she's like pleading with her husband on the stake, like on the pyre. She's like, they don't know what they're doing. It feels like a Jesus.
That was like another allegory for Jesus, right?
Yeah.
But Dracula is not God. Dracula is like merciless as fuck.
Yeah, but also, isn't in the game Dracula kind of like literally Satan? He's literally just Satan. It's just Satan.
Yeah.
I think so. So and then other, I don't want to say gods. It's hard to explain. It's kind of like some embodiment of death becomes also a part.
That was the last season they had.
Yeah.
They had different embodiments. I mean, like I said, the first season was like setting up the whole plot against Dracula, and then season 2 was basically meeting up with other vampires from like other countries.
Yeah.
So it was a very like international type of crisis, and Dracula was just like in a depression mode, despite doing all this war thing.
It's funny because I think Castlevania came out obviously before JoJo, but there's a lot of for me there was a little bit of overlap because of like the whole vampire thing, and I just really like the way that they were able to bring I said before, there's like a lot of gore, a lot of really horrible things and tragedies happening, but the art is very beautiful. And not only is the art beautiful, there are these scenes where obviously there's comedy, there's action, but there's also these really like tender moments and really profound moments as well. So I just like that this show has a little bit of everything for everybody. And I think that's really hard to pull off.
Like the fight between Dracula and Alucard.
Yep.
At the end, that was very.
Yeah. And the 3D also doesn't detract.
Yeah, there is 3D.
There's like 3D and things, and you're like, oh wow, I'm jarred out of the experience. For me, the 3D was tactfully used.
Oh, it was good.
Yeah.
Another character I liked too was who turned out. So like after, what surprisingly is like another spoiler alert is like Dracula does get defeated, but that doesn't stop there. They bring into a new antagonist, Camilla.
Yes.
And she was boss bitch.
I mean,
gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss.
They were all girl bosses. They're all fucking nuts, and I loved them. There was this like overarching plot of, you might deal with the big bad, but there will always be like an essence of him in the world. The things that he's done, the people he's influenced, the people he's inspired. And it's so cool to see that, because a lot of the time you'll see like a big bad and they fall and they get destroyed, and then everything kind of goes to shit. No one knows how to plan anything. Nobody has other schemes going on. But in this show, everybody has their own like motives and incentives to do the things that they're doing, and it makes the world feel more fleshed out and more real. And I really like that about Castlevania in general. Is that not just the main characters, but even side characters get these incredible plots and thoughts and things going on, and everybody feels kind of relevant in a way. Like everyone's got their own stuff going on, and it's all, I don't know if it's all equally relevant, but it's all very relevant to the story in some way or form. And I think again that's really hard to pull off writing wise, but it works very well.
Another character I also want to mention is, I believe, is it Isaac?
Yeah.
Isaac, he's like the one in charge of making creatures.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's amazing how every character has like their own little development.
Yep.
And his development was, it was like in this journey, like he gained some humanity a bit. Because like under Dracula, even though he's human himself, he hates humans.
Yeah, he renounces them. And to be fair, like, you experience, wasn't he like a slave or something?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, so like you experience like the lows of humanity, and then you might decide, I'm going to destroy them all, maybe.
So yeah, and
yeah,
it becomes basically a creature creator for Dracula.
Yeah. And then when Dracula's gone, he just starts doing his own thing. He's still making creatures, and he's like, I'm just
he slowly builds an army
and do whatever. Yeah.
But he visits some towns where he talked to that he was talking to this one the one guy at the port, remember?
Yep.
and it was almost like a meaningful moment. Like he starts to like understand like, okay, not all humans are bad, so he gained some humanity from it.
And it's interesting too, because I know that there's a lot of how do I describe it? There's a lot of like historical stuff that goes on with vampires and the way that they're depicted in media, from like Nosferatu to like, you know, the Twilight series. Like there's so many different things and so many different ways that vampires are depicted and what they can mean. And it's so cool in this story that we get to have a character like Lord Tepes who like is able to again inspire people to do things that they would normally never do. Like I think a lot of the human, there were two like, one was a beastmaker and then the other one was something else, but they were both like engineers in a way.
Yeah.
And
it was Hector, the other guy.
Yeah, Hector, yeah. And they probably would have just offed themselves in a world without magic, or in a world where like Lord Tepes was just this like maniacal villain who just killed all humans on sight. But like Lord Tepes saw value in these humans that he like says he hates or whatever, but he sees value in them and he builds them up. And
I think that's also because of his you know, his wife.
Yeah.
His wife
was also human.
His wife was human, yeah, but it's like because of his wife, he had a sense of humanity, and he didn't cause no harm to any other humans.
Yeah.
Until that incident happened, and then he was like, "Nah, you guys are old."
He'll do that.
Yeah.
Loss.jpg. Let's get into those ratings.
Let's get there. Okay, guys, let's get to these ratings. First up will be representation.
Now, for representation.
I'm 8.2.
Yeah, I just gave it a solid 8.
8. What can we say? Well, you know, it takes place like around olden times.
Yeah, but it's like an alternate reality too.
Yeah, in a way.
Yeah.
And in a funny way though, like the only because like it's heavy on religion and all that. So anything they see that's not like religion coded is like blasphemous. So the only way it's kind of queer coded is like they're mostly vampires.
Yeah. Now that I'm thinking about it, yeah, that's true.
Yep.
It's the interesting thing though is that even though that they're, I mean, they're not. I would argue they're not coded. They're just straight up, you know, gay.
Oh well, yeah.
And so that's nice. That's refreshing. And not only that, I mean, they're blood-sucking demons, but you know, they're depicted, I get, like showing genuine empathy and care for one another in this like really, really cruel fucking world. And that's I don't. It's hard to say because like in a world like that, you're gonna have a lot of trauma bonding. You're gonna have a lot of like. You know, I'm assuming the process of becoming a vampire is like pretty awful, you know, or something, you know, because everything else in the show has this sort of like air of grief and stress to it. Mm-hmm. So I would hope that it's a consensual transformation or something, but I don't know. I don't know to what extent any of that is or is not. And then the whole thing, like there's just a lot of interesting relationships, and I think it's important to showcase everything, like the full spectrum of human experiences, but I give it an 8 because it's like it's cool to have them, and then you also have death, which is like this non-binary entity of death, and then they again spoilers a bit here, but like they kill him, they kill this entity, and then death still exists. Like people still die of old age and things like that, which is I've always found interesting. Sometimes you destroy an entity that represents something, like in Chainsaw Man, and then it doesn't affect the world anymore. Or in another show or something. Yeah. So it's just an interesting depiction, and I like that. So solid 8. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what he said.
Next up, queer comfort.
For queer comfort, we give it I give it 7.5.
I give it a 6.
Like I said, the most queer representation you're gonna find is the characters who are vampires mostly.
Yeah, and they live really opulent. Again, comfortable is a weird word to use. They live lavish lives. They have a lot of power, and they're protected from the institutions of religion. But the religious bullshit is still in the show, and anyone who has potential trauma with that could struggle with that. But it's really, again, it's just nice to see these relationships where they're in, where they have power and where they have the ability to do kind of what they want and move around freely in the world and just kind of live, even though they're undead. So that's cool. That's cool to see.
Up next, originality.
And for originality, we give it a
I give it an 8.
funny number.
What'd you give it?
I gave it a 6.9.
6.9. I'm not liking how we're giving a little low scores for this show. The show's good.
It is. It's very good.
We're just doing on a queer level, I guess. 8.
Yeah, if it was gore, if this category was gore, it'd be 10 out of 10. But you know what I mean? But from what I've experienced of the games, what I've experienced of vampire, like I was saying before, vampire media,
I would argue, because I don't play Castlevania, but yet, well, actually, in a way I do, because I do main Simon Belmont in Smash. But as someone who doesn't play Castlevania, I still enjoy this show.
Does it make you want to play Castlevania?
No.
Damn, he said that shit. Castlevania fans, I'm so sorry. So sorry. Don't come for us with your holy water. It won't work. We're too powerful. I'm advanced darkness. So basically, I gave it a 6.9 because I really like the way things were depicted. Obviously in a game, especially like a classic 2D platformer, like the classic Castlevanias, you're not gonna get the clarity, the visual depictions and stuff. You're running it on a you know, I don't want to say outdated because you know the software is still great, but you're running it on an older framework, so you're not going to be able to get like the really cool perspectives and really cool angles and really interesting stuff. And there's so many new games coming out that are really nice, but to have a show like this and to have everything be expressed without having input, you know, actually playing the media, it's just a different experience. And I feel like for a lot of people who maybe aren't gamers or who don't want to do, you know, maybe struggle with, you know, the mechanics and whatnot, having this show allows them to kind of jump into a world that they were never a part of before. And I think that's really important to have that. The same with One Piece. You have like people who watch the anime and things for years, and now we have the live action, and you can just watch it, and it's a little bit. For some people, it's a little bit more digestible. So I think it's incredibly important to have something like this. But is it original? I don't really know. I can't say in relation to the game I didn't play. So it's definitely good. It's above average. It's not, you know, it's not a 5 out of 10 or anything. But is it original? You guys be the choice. You guys be the deciding factor. Watch it and tell me. Tell us in the comments. We'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah.
Next up, writing.
For writing, we give it I give it 9.5.
9.6.
Finally. I mean, it's amazing.
So again, I can't attest to the originality, but I can attest to
the character writing.
The character writing, the plot progression, the banter between characters, all of it. Again, I don't know whether or not it was ripped straight out of the game, but regardless, it is incredibly refreshing. And having a show like this where characters can like go through the worst of lows, but also have like goofy little moments. I think also, because was this during the pandemic? Did it come out during the pandemic at all, or was it airing?
This was before and then probably during.
And during. I feel like, again, so vampires, people would say, some people might say that they're, you know, sexy creatures of the night. Some people might say they're a scourge on the earth and an epidemic of sorts. So it's like, something about this show that really speaks to me is, again, the despair, but also the, not comedy, but the hope that comes from experiencing despair with your loved ones, your friends, and working through it, getting through dealing with potentially abusive parents in the case of Alucard, or overcoming an epidemic of ghouls and monsters of some kind. So I feel like having that, especially during that time, was an incredible thing to have. And even now, you can still watch it and it still holds up and it's still nice. And I think even years from now, we'll go back and go, damn. Netflix really did something cool with this.
And for this, I'm also excited for when we're filming this. This week is going to be the new Castlevania story. So
definitely. Again, watch it. Tell us in the comments. I want to know what you're thinking about it. And now to overall feelings about the show.
Overall, we give it a 9.3.
We give it an 8.7. It's not that it's forgettable by any means, but I've been watching way too much content recently and my brain is fried. I'm excited for the next season, without question.
I know.
And I'm going to watch it. And this might go up.
Yeah.
As it stands right now, it is a very, especially for me as someone who's indulged in, that material. I don't know. It's hard to say that it shocked me, really. It was definitely well written, but it was, I want to be discerning. I don't want to be like, oh, vampires, ooga booga, like,
It's well animated, well written. A lot of diversity, especially amongst the vampires.
Yeah.
And it's going to be also heavily adapted for the next series that's coming up. Especially because I think it's Victorian style. And a lot of people are happy too because there's a lot of like people of color as vampires being like kind of like the main villains. So a lot of people help. A lot of people like that.
Honestly, a lot of really nice Ren Fair looks. Just really solid looks in general. They say a lot of things, but vampires be dressing. So definitely a solid watch. Go watch it. Go enjoy it. If you had nothing to do this, Halloween, watch it. It might be a nice time. It might be a nice ride for you.
Okay. So for our Keep Your Total, Pam, it is with that gay shit.
Okay, so for the Castlevania review, we got an 81.7 out of 100. Round that up, and that'll place us in the B category.
I blame you for that.
Listen.
Now, a B. That is only for a queer representation. We love this show more than that ratings. I blame you for that. You lowered that too low.
Listen.
Anyways, it should have been at least a B+. We love this show.
These are solid. These are
Please do
solid.
not tag us in the comments. We actually genuinely love this show. We had to just make sure.
I need to be discerning.
On a queer level, it was good.
You can't just get me because there's something spooky in it, okay? I'm a very spooky gentleman, but still, I need more. So I have more for you. Recommendations. Always. I always have them. Never do I not have them. Sometimes I'm not allowed to speak my truth, but it is there. So today I'd like to let you know there are 3 shows I've got for you again. Fiona and Kate, #1. Please watch the show. It's fantastic.
Oh yeah, it was really
it's a
good.
great time.
It's really good.
It's not over yet as of recording.
No, actually,
but
there's only one more
fantastic.
episode left.
I also got to tell you, my homeboys, they got me on this. Zom 100, fantastic.
For you spooky guys, zombie fan lovers.
Yeah, no, it's incredible.
On Netflix.
Some queer comfort food that I was thinking about was a film called Red, White, and Royal Blue. My girlfriend seems to be a really big fan of it. Not the biggest thing for me, but hey, maybe it'll be your cup of tea.
And don't forget to subscribe.
Yeah. And remember, we have links below, links for the Trevor Project and others, and our social media, so you can follow. And thank you, and a very QPR spooky month for all of our horror fans out there.